A pandemic of violence floods the streets of major cities as cases of the media-dubbed murder virus, MV20, soar, causing those infected to go on killing sprees. Caught in the middle, police detective Angela Miller finds her only trustworthy ally in the self-proclaimed psychic PI, Gerald Henry. As the two try to navigate the violence, they are drawn into New Age guru Abramelin Harvest's plot to heal the planet. Harvest's missive?
The world is sick, and humanity is the infection.
The cure? Murder. From the twisted mind of Shawn C. Baker, author of A Collection of Desires and Shadow Play in Book 1, Kim and Jesse, comes his most vicious novel yet, Murder Virus. Available where books are sold.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Lovely Everyday Life. I'm Shawn.
I am Anthrax Anthony.
I'm Ray, because I can't come up with anything besides that.
And we have a guest from the censor board. He's asked that we only identify him by his first name, Jesus. And he's going to be sitting in with us tonight because there's been some claims filed with the U.S. Department of Good Taste about this show. So we're here to show Jesus that we're all about good taste. So we just watched in an AMC theater, no less, one of, I think, about maybe 4 or 5 times that they were showing this movie today, which blows me away.
Indeed.
Hatching. Hatching is from Finland. It's directed by Hanna Bergholm, written by a name I'm going to butcher. I'm just going to say right off the bat, writer Ilja Rautsi. You notice, like, whenever I try to do like a foreign accent, I usually like mix them up. So if it's like Finland, like I give it like an Italian spin. It just doesn't make any sense.
That's okay.
Yeah, and it's not, but whatever. Man, I am struggling to believe that I went to an AMC to see this, and I have to thank COVID. I really do. Guys, starting with Anthony.
Oh.
Not to offend your delicate sensibilities.
Chomping at the bit over here.
What did you think of Hatching?
First of all, I'd just like to say hello, you mortal scum.
Well, hello.
Yeah. Jesus
That's for the
fucking
listeners
Christ.
or for us?
This was like a thing I saw advertised on Instagram a couple months back. I'd actually forgotten about it. I kind of threw it out there.
You had posted it in the Horrorvision group
Yeah.
Instagram chat.
And had totally forgotten about it until you mentioned it again. And fuck, wow. Blimey, this is a fucking flick, man. Like Shawn said, I'm surprised that this thing even got released widely like this. You just don't see a foreign body horror film thrown into an AMC theater where, you know, like, what is it, Spider-Man's playing down the hall or whatever the fuck is going on, whatever's popular at the moment. But I mean,
Ambulance.
yeah, Ambulance. But it's cool because like the Northman's like right down the hall also.
Yeah.
But this movie just has no business being this good in a place like AMC theater. This is something I would expect to see, you know, in Hollywood somewhere in an art house theater, and you totally get that feel watching the film.
Yeah.
And it is, Ray and I both said the word before, but I'm gonna leave that to Ray later on.
Oh.
Because it's a special word, and I want you to have this.
Well, wait, Ray, what's the word? Your one word.
My one word review of the movie is unnerving.
Unnerving.
It is
Fucking
unnerving.
Okay, continue.
No, it's
No, you.
me, the king of mortal scum. Yeah, like I said, it just has no business being this good and in an AMC theater. I really hope people go out and watch it, but I think it started with what, maybe 3 showings a day, and now I believe it's up to like 6 or 7. I don't know how long this film is going to last in a major theater chain. Go watch it. Go support it. I loved it. Every minute of it is fucking creepier and creepier and creepier.
Yeah.
The writing's it's okay. The writing's okay, but it helps with pacing and keeps it moving along really well. Very very quick as far as how horrifically it evolves. Keyword evolves. But yeah, I totally give this movie a fucking thumbs up. It's rad.
Wow. Ray?
I agree. I mean, it is strange that it's at the AMC, but it does feel very much like a Lemley have to seek it out kind of film.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that AMC is, and if anyone who works for AMC is listening, I'm happy that they're doing this. That they're trying to create a sort of art house option.
Yeah.
At your local cinema, at your local big box cinema, and that like at the same place that you can go see, something like Ambulance or whatever's the latest family. I think The Bad Guys or something like that. Big movie. That they're at the same time they're like, you know what, we've got like something like most of our cinemas, like this one is a 20. We can find a screen to just throw this on. And like it's been nice that like in the last year we've gotten to see like X and Hatching.
You won't be alone.
You won't be alone. You won't be alone. I mean, it wasn't out for forever.
But this goes
the
back
fact
to
that you got to go see You Won't Be Alone
in an
AMC theater is pretty damn cool.
This goes back to what you said. So you went back to the theater before I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was in September because I was in Chicago, and you sent me your review of Teton.
Oh, Teton, yeah.
And you had seen it
at an AMC.
And
AMC
in your
went
small
today,
review,
yeah.
which is if listeners, it's there in our discography or whatever you call it on your whatever streaming platform. If you flip back a couple months, you brought that up that like it seemed like because of COVID and like look like, I mean here ArcLight was always an option for art house stuff.
Yeah,
gone.
ArcLight is gone, and like there's still some stuff out there, but they're a little bit farther out. There's still a drive. And
also remember for COVID, like the theaters were trying to figure the big box. The AMC was probably trying to figure out what can we do to get people back. Let's reinvent ourselves, and part of what they're doing is putting movies like this on the screen. I applaud them.
Because
I hope it doesn't go away.
The thing is that like even if you go see something big, if you go see something like the latest Spider-Man, or you go see like Uncharted or something like that, you're still sitting in a theater that isn't quite as full as they once were.
Yeah.
So I think they realized, like, we don't have to have multiple screens for whatever's the biggest title. We can maybe have 2, but we don't need to have 5 screens all showing Spider-Man. Yeah. And, like, when something like the small art house horror movie comes out, or, something like Drive My Car comes out, we don't even bother with it. Yeah. Like, now they're like, maybe we should do that. Like, maybe we're missing a segment of that audience. So good on that, but yeah, the movie is just unnerving. It starts off really fast. You mentioned, Anthony, one thing on the way over, and like I was, as we're leaving the theater, I was driving in the same car with him, and he was saying that like some of the acting felt a little bit odd, or he couldn't tell if it was stilted because it was Finnish. But I felt like one of the things about that was it to me it felt a little bit like Killing of a Sacred Deer. Like it served a purpose. Like
yes, I think it was on purpose. Totally.
Part of the weirdness, part of the stilted acting is that same effect of like we're telling this story, and it's funny. I wouldn't have called it body horror, but that does fit the category.
Total
but to me, it's super folk horror.
See, I don't get that at all.
It is so much of a fairy tale.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it. Because if you just simply say, and I don't want to go for it. I don't want to contest. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying from my perspective, if you just fairy tale does in a way like okay, that's folk horror because it's like this tale passed down.
Yeah.
But I mean, Suspiria is a fairy tale.
Yeah,
It's not
but-
folk horror.
Okay, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? That's where I kind of...
Maybe it's because, well, admittedly, I have read some of like the unpopular or the least, the some of the forgotten or the stories that aren't as popular, the ones that haven't been popularized and turned into Disney films and things like that. And there are some fairy tales out there that are like dark and fucking
all the
weird
original
and-
ones are totally fucked up. Like
There's-
Sleeping Beauty,
there's
the
one-
guy has to fuck her to wake her up, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's one that I read where literally a little boy's mother becomes so it seems oddly perfect for this episode, but I mean, considering we're talking about the hatching and a bird, little boy's mother becomes so jealous of his beauty that she kills him, but in killing him tries to make it look like she didn't do it, and so she sets up his body with his head still, like his decapitated head sitting on his body, and his older sister goes to play with him, and his head falls off, and she's like, oh no, I killed my brother, and the mother lets her think that she fucking did it, and the whole time his soul has been reincarnated into the soul of this boo bird that is outside the house, keeps singing, and everyone else is enchanted by it. The mother is driven mad by it because she
Sounds like
feels,
Poe in a way.
yeah, and like it just keeps getting weirder from there.
What's the name of the?
It's called Bluebird. It's amazing.
And it's
The
an
Bluebird.
old fairy tale.
Oh yeah, it's an old fairy tale. It's like German or something, but it's
The German fairy tales are
fucking
all
weird.
fucked
It is fucked up.
up.
But yeah, just literally this. I mean, I just forgot about that moment until just now. But yeah, there's this moment where she just props the body up with the head on, and then she's like, "Come on, let's go play." And like she pulls his hand, and head pops off, and mother's like, oh, "Look at what you did to your brother!
Oh man.
Quick, let's bury the body before your father finds out." And I was like, "Oh my god!" This is in a children's literature course. I read this story, and I was like, "Man, there's some fucked up stories out there."
Okay, so just to give our listeners an idea of what is playing in the same AMC theater that we saw this in, okay? This is the lineup for this evening.
I want to hear this.
The Bad Guys,
I said it.
The Northman, Fantastic Beasts, The Secret of...
Secret of the Use.
No, this says The Secret of Mr. Belvedere. So
Oh.
this must be something different. Wesley, take off your pants. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Ooh.
Everywhere All at Once, still want to see that.
Same.
The Lost City, Morbius. I'd actually rather watch Bad Guys, I think. Ambulance, Father Stew. Wow, that's probably the bottom of the barrel. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I'm seeing that tomorrow, actually.
Nice.
Hatching, Spider-Man No Way Home, The Batman.
Spider-Man No Way Home still playing?
Yeah, and then that's really it. So, that, I mean,
Batman.
if you, anybody listening, I'm sure you have a pretty decent idea culturally about, you've seen the trailers for most of these movies or what. I mean, and this is one of the things, like, there's so much, everything now is a tentpole, right? Everything now is like what used to be like a blockbuster. I remember a couple times, well, okay, so last weekend we saw The Northman, and then I immediately looked to see when this was playing because I wanted to message Anthony and say, hey, I know it's there Saturday or whatever. It was not listed at the AMC we went to. It was listed at the other AMC, and there were 2 showings. I looked again like 3 days ago, and all of a sudden there's like 5 or 6 times at this AMC,
Yeah.
and then I think 4 at the other one. So I don't know what propelled that, but I agree with Anthony. Go see it, definitely. Man, this is one of the harder watches I've had in a while. Not in any way that was bad. So we're not doing spoilers yet. I will tell you as a listener when we're going to do spoilers because we're going to talk this thing through. Because man, I feel like I need to talk it through. But it really, I don't know what was harder, the kind of body horror elements, or the family dynamic was just like, look away, like, oh my god, like almost not quite, but like on a Todd Solondz level, like it's just, oh my god. all of the effects. So the most recent issue of Fangoria, which is volume 2, number 15, hit my mailbox maybe a month ago, and it's the one with the cover story for X. And I saw that there was an article about hatching, and I think I noticed this right about the time Anthony put the trailer in the group, and I just didn't want to read it. So I just read it before we started rolling, and great article written by Michael Gingold, Fangoria royalty. But so this was originally called Birds of a Feather, and apparently Finnish director Hanna Bergholm and producer, we're going to butcher these people's names, so just saying that right off the bat, Mika Radalati, they brought this to an audience at Fantasia International Film Festival. They brought this to an audience at Fantasia International Film Festival's Frontiers market in Montreal back 4 years ago. They originally started working on the movie in 2014, and originally it had a male lead, and then so they've been kind of honing it as it went, and I think they were smart to go the route they did. Really, this is largely a story of a girl and her mother, and the mother is a fucking nightmare, and which is so. What I loved about this movie is, and you can tell right as it starts, it reminded me of David Lynch and Blue Velvet, because how does Blue Velvet start? White picket fence, sprinklers, there's a cardinal, the firemen waving as they drive by, right? And then you go into the close-up of the dirt, and you see all the beetles and the bugs, and the idea that like what looks perfect on top is really, festering with rot and darkness beneath. And this is very much that. And so, I mean, literally, the mother's career, apparently, is her blog, a video blog, Lovely Everyday Life. And she just literally, this movie starts with her filming shit, and she's like, oh, everything's lovely all the time. I think she says almost exactly that.
Yeah.
And so obviously, like, something's going to get fucked up. And I just really liked seeing the way that they subverted it, and just the cool juxtaposition between, like, as this horror gestates and then manifests and grows and evolves literally in their daughter's bedroom. Outside, you start to see the layers peel away, and this perfect life is not perfect, and it's actually really fucked up. But not in. I didn't even think in, like, we've seen this a million times, but it wasn't in the same way. Like, nothing was extreme. It wasn't like there were bodies buried or there was some, like, dark secret in the family's history. But no, like I don't know. It was very realistic, and I just visually. They really, like, all the wallpaper was floral and everything was spaced perfectly in the lamps. And the inciting incident of the movie is literally, like, as they're filming this vlog, a crow gets in the house and just, I mean, it's hysterical. It destroys all the
living room, yeah.
It's like the most violent crow. Yes, Jesus.
I think she's trying to have everything perfect, and it automatically tells you that it's not going to be perfect.
My point exactly. So you've got this. It's that idea that, like, what looks great to her viewers is awful. So, and a little secret. What sounds great here? As soon as I stop rolling tape, I smack the shit out of Ray.
I take my pants off.
Yeah, I mean.
Whatever happens after that.
Yeah. So just know.
Pay me $20. I'll send you the video.
There you go. But yeah, so I really enjoy that, and also a lot of those movies are very cynical. I didn't even feel this movie was cynical at all. I didn't think there was a cynicism to it. I just thought it was an interesting way to kind of, like, flip things on their head and show you a different side of what you think you knew about these people. So you basically, I think. This is the end of the no spoiler. Does anyone have anything else to say before we go full spoiler?
Can I take my pants off now?
You can.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Damn. Okay.
Gotta get my mask for the farting to be done over here.
I have a question regarding this film. It was weird to me that this little girl was, like, never afraid of this bird. Like, dead.
Go ahead, go.
All right, so we're going full. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, full spoiler now.
My explanation for that is again because
Wait,
it's
Jesus just said, as he's writing us a citation for swearing. No. Jesus just said that he found it hard to believe that the little girl is never afraid of the monster because she does befriend them. I mean, she says she sleeps with the monster, she combs its hair, blah blah blah. Okay, Ray.
The way I thought about it was it ties back to that whole fairy tale concept, and that it because it's this thing that, like, okay, first of all, she goes and she finds, like, she's not troubled by the fact that one, this crow has called her into the forest in the middle of the night. How did it get there? How would a crow fly with a broken neck? But so anyway, she's not bothered by that. And then we get the first scene of viciousness. We get the second scene of viciousness that happens with her and the rock, and like, oh my god, that's so.
Well, so okay.
That
so,
one from I'm not gonna say what happened.
No, we're going full spoilers.
If you want to go full spoilers?
Let's set
she
this
fucking
up.
smashes that crow with the rock.
So when the bird,
it not only bothered me, I could tell that it was physically bothering you.
It was terrible. When the bird flies into the house,
and it's an act of mercy,
and it lays waste to essentially, like, it perches on a chandelier falls into the glass tabletop, it knocks over vases as they're trying to catch it, whatever. When they finally catch it, the daughter, the main character, throws a blanket over it, which is how you catch a bird.
Yeah.
And then she's kind of coddling it and like
hey, let's take it outside.
And the mother says, motions like, give it to me, and she holds it almost like a baby and then snaps its fucking neck and says, go put this in the the organic waste.
The organic waste.
You can, right? And so the daughter leaves it there, and then later that night there are these. I mean, I'll hear this shit in my fucking nightmares. These screams, these bird screams, and she goes out looking for it, and it's left the garbage can and gone into the woods where it's screaming, and she picks up a rock and ends its
beats it to death, and you're like, and even the thing is that it's an act of mercy, but even so, it is horrifying.
Well, because the bird doesn't seem to want to die either.
Jesus Christ. And then she finds this egg, and it's a normal-sized egg. And the fact that it keeps growing doesn't trouble her. The creature that emerges. And then there's even, this is another thing that ties into the fairy tale concept. Is another thing that is that when the mother sees the doppelganger, and she explains, like, Mom, I hatched it. The mother's answer is, well, let's just take care of it. She's not horrified. She's not troubled. She's not like, wait, how did you grow a doppelganger of yourself? She's just like, okay, cool, let's go take care of this. Like, it just is something common. Or something for you to get the hatching of a crow that grows into being your evil doppelganger that does your bidding, that you're as it keeps growing. Like, that's pretty fantastic.
Well, so I feel like that was, so in answer to what Jesus had said, I really feel like it is partially that, and it coincides with what you're saying about the mother, like, not even questioning the fact that her daughter hatched this doppelganger. That's the fairy tale, right?
Yeah.
Because stuff like that happens in a fairy tale logic, and the character.
Oh, I get what you're gonna go for, which is like, let's just take care of it. Like, that's her answer to everything in her life. Like,
well, dude, did she not remind you of Mimi Rogers from Ginger Snaps?
Ooh.
To some degree.
Because there's that point where Mimi Rogers is basically just like, no, your father, I'm sorry, but just us girls, we'll both start over.
Yeah.
But I think the reason the little girl is never afraid of it is because she's actually more afraid of what's going on in her life, which is like the mother's having an affair, and early on in the movie, the girl walks in and kind of sees something, and so the mother addresses it. She gives her a present, and then it's like, sometimes adults have special friends, and then and then she starts to like when she says stuff to her father, like, oh, I'm going on a business trip, and she'll look at the daughter and like wink or whatever it is, and like, so now she's in on a secret, and then at some point she's like, Can I make a confession? I literally thought that the mother was going to be like, Tiro, who's the lover, like, fucks me like nobody's business. Like, I didn't know where that conversation was going. I was like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
That was the stuff that I was just like shrinking in my seat, like, oh, this is so fucking awkward. Oh my god, it's like Todd Solondz. It's like, what the fuck?
It was pretty awkward.
And then at some point she's like, oh, we'll go stay with my lover or whatever. And then the masterful scene where the baby's crying, the girl's afraid of what the doppelganger's doing, and the mother's fucking coital moans echoing through the house.
Oh.
So okay,
But before you go too far, and because you brought up Tiro, Anthony, can you please repeat what you said to me about Tiro earlier?
No, it turns out he's the most normal guy.
Yeah.
He's not the bad guy as he's painted to be, due to the daughter's like naivety.
Yeah.
Of her mother's infidelity, and yeah, he's actually quite a loving person, a caring person, and not the simp that her father is at home, that's become accustomed to a lavish lifestyle that his wife has already commanded and provided for him. Because all he has to do is just smile for the cameras and he gets what he wants. Ray brought that up earlier. He just, he doesn't really have to engage, and he gets free guitars. He doesn't have to do shit,
Yep.
So Taro is actually the most human character aside from, I'm sorry, what's the main girl's name? Tinya? Tinya. I think that's the case there with Taro.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more, go talk a little bit more about the film, like full spoiler. So
I felt like the egg is symbolic of entropy, and it mirrors the family dynamic that's happening away from what's happening with Tinya and the egg. Just because, again, this egg's gonna hatch. Something horrible is going to happen, and in that happening, Tinya's life starts to implode. That's excluding shit that's going on in her own family life, as her family's also imploding because of just, crazy shit that the mother's doing. Jeez, where the fuck do I even go from this? Let's talk about the bird for a moment. So the thing fucking hatches, right? She's basically imprinting on it.
It's an amazing effect too.
She's crying on it. I think at one point her hand is bloodied from her mother, her overbearing mother, constantly telling her she has to improve and work harder on her gymnastics to.
Oh yeah, she's got the blisters from her hand.
So I'm wondering if the bird becoming a doppelganger has to do with her imprinting, her blood on it, or her tears, because you see the eggshell absorbing these things. And then finally, this beautiful creature is hatched, and you get to see this display of practical effects that, to me, is very similar to, I don't know, have you ever seen The Witches?
Who's in The Witches?
It has, what's the lady's name that played Morticia Addams in the 90s Addams Family movies? I don't know why her name escapes me right now.
Hold on.
But its facial structure is very similar to that, and you see it has elements of, human elements. You see teeth. It's got a bird beak. It's got teeth. It's got the big bird eyes. But it's somewhat humanoid. So I remember in watching the trailer, I thought this thing was going to be more human from the get-go. So seeing the bird creature emerge first was actually quite a surprise.
Yeah.
And that shock of just seeing that fucking hideous monster, and the immediate bond between Tinya and this creature, because obviously she's got a shit relationship with her mother, so the goal for her is, I can mother this creature in ways that my mother never did. It's very and in that it's very sad. It's very just to see her try to emulate something that she never had, and being forced into an adult parental role when she had no business being in that in the first place. And I think a lot of and this is more on a deeper element to it, a lot of youth out there that grow up in either single family households or who have been adopted, who basically are abandoned even by their own family members. there's a big correlation between that and again with her home life, with neglect that she goes through at home. I've rambled on enough though. Yeah, but this movie touches in places that I haven't seen before, and I think that's the beauty in it. This is a first time director, and I was just fucking blown away by the places and the I would almost use the word depravity that her mother the places that her mother goes to in order to achieve this picture perfect farce.
Yeah, that's a good word.
And it's at the expense of everyone around her.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the worst part of the film, in my opinion. But goddamn, like it's disgusting. We haven't even touched on the body horror elements yet, or the feedings.
Yeah. Oh.
So please, somebody take it away.
Well, I wanted to point out that apparently the director wanted to do something like animatronic, and so like in this Fangoria article literally says like, so I actually just Googled best animatronic designer in the world, and Google told me that it was Gustav Hogan, who did like Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Prometheus, or whatever, and so they got him.
Really?
And also special makeup by Connor O'Sullivan, who had done Saving Private Ryan, The Dark Knight, Game of Thrones. So it's really interesting to me, and I think what it seems like from reading this Michael Gingold article is that when they brought this thing 4 years ago as basically like proof of concept, and we're looking for backers, people were interested because it was, I think it's very nuanced, right?
Oh, definitely.
And just the layers here where it's visually, there's a thing where when the doppelganger is doing something, then Tina is feeling it, right? Or vice versa. And physically, like you hurt one of them and the other one feels it, blah, blah, blah. And that is kind of a very macro level. And below that level, you're really seeing a very similar juxtaposition of like what the mother's doing and how it's affecting other people. And just this idea that, the nuances for this suburban, it's not even suburban, but this modern family dynamic, and how it looks one way, but it just doesn't work. You know, it's just rotten underneath. And essentially by the end of the movie, you have your main character, Tina, replaced by something that looks like her, but is feral underneath. And that's her mother. Like, she'd actually be the better daughter for her mother at that point. And I think that's why they don't really show it, but it's like, you know, the ultimate spoiler here, but we've already warned you. The daughter dies accidentally by the mother's hand, and she's left with the doppelganger. And of course they're going to hit it off because it's a better fit. And so just all of this nuance, I think all of this is why people back this movie. I think it's why it is where it is. I think it's why these people who worked on Jurassic Park and Game of Thrones threw down on this movie. I mean, obviously the concept itself was so high concept, and you know, the filmmakers were able to present to people like, we can pull this off, because obviously they could totally pull this off, because they did, and it's fantastic. I mean, I don't know. I was really blown away by this movie. Just really blown away. It's very simple, but it's not.
Well, I think I like the entropy concept. I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
One of the strong symbols I took away was that the egg, it's, how should I put it? It's Tinya becoming an adult.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that because especially with the killing of the bird, the first thing that she sees, like her mother does that, and it really shocks her.
Yeah.
And I think it's the first time that she starts to feel like there's something very wrong. There's something very wrong with my mother. There's something very wrong with me listening to this person and following what she believes and what she says. And so she's right about the right age. Like, I mean, where the father already mistakes the blood in one scene of the doppelganger, of the bird creature, for hers and her coming of age.
Yeah, like, why is she acting so weird? Oh, there's blood on her.
There's blood on her mattress. Oh, okay, I got it. Oh, she's a woman now.
Yeah.
But I think transitionally, as a concept, that very much like in a fairy tale, like it's that she's this, like, she finds this creature, it hatches, kind of no mistake that it arrives right after the mother has killed its mother, and it then has no mother, and because she also finishes it off. So it arrives as almost a method of revenge.
Yeah.
And taking its revenge on these people for what was taken from it. And the killing of the bird. And so the rest of the film is not only transitioning into being more of a doppelganger of her, it also is becoming her id. Like, it is going out and acting out and doing the things that, like, whether she doesn't want them to happen, because it takes her a minute to realize, like, oh my God, I'm manifesting these things happening. I'm manifesting feeling these things, and it's then picking up on it and going out and doing these things. Oh no, like, it takes her a minute to figure out, like, I'm causing this shit. But it's still, she can't still deny that, like, it's her feeling these things. Like, when something happens to her rival, the new girl in town, and, like, something happens to the dog, she is like, she goes to see the dog the first time, the dog snaps at her. Then she hears the dog, and it's waking her up in the middle of the night. And, you know, we do have those moments where, like, I don't know if you've had a neighbor that had the fucking dog and it keeps barking, and you're like, God, will someone fucking shoot that thing? And, like, you just have that thought of, like, oh, I wish someone would just kill that thing. And, like, if you had some evil creature that was evolving into being you, and it could run around unrestrained and do the things that you want to do, but without having the consequence, it would do it. Yeah. So it does that.
Yeah, I was just going to make that point that I feel like the bird is a physical manifestation of her underlying anger and confusion about the world imploding around her.
It is.
And then it is. Yeah, and in turn, you know, mirroring that and blowing up all her, you know, personal life as well outside of the family
dynamic. Doing it, and it's doing it because it's what she wants to do. Like, she's angry. She's so used to her mother and, like, trying to make things nice and pleasant that she's burying emotions. Yeah. And those emotions are being manifested and coming through this bird creature. And then when eventually she gets stabbed and is bleeding out, and it now, like, that was one of the things that, like, I rather liked in that last moment where, like, it not only, like, the mouth completely closes, but if you notice, the eyes went from pale to full black eyes, meaning that almost like a soul transfer.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it then says mother, and the mother's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, she's kind of like, what's happening right now? But also at the same time, there's a look in her eyes about, like, maybe I could work with this.
No, she's totally.
Because
100.
It becomes a symbol for Tinya becoming a woman and no longer putting up with the shit of, like, her family. Like, being like, I'm not going to sit around and pretend like this crap's normal. I'm not going to pretend like you're a good mother. I'm not going to pretend like I like to be in gymnastics. And I'm for sure not going to pretend like you and Dad and your jacked up relationship is not messing me up and it's not gross. Like, this is someone who could become part of that family. It is now going to be like, you guys suck.
Yeah.
You guys suck as a couple.
Yeah.
You should just go move out, Dad. Oh, well, actually, follow-up question to my concept of, like, the metaphor. And so, movie ends. The Thing says mother after ingesting tinge of blood and pretty much fully transitioning to being a realized, angry doppelganger of Tinja that can now become part of the family, and they'll probably just bury Tinja in the backyard next to the decapitated dog.
do totally gonna be buried in the backyard.
Do you feel like she would become a
Gymnast?
well, I guess, would she completely assume Tinja's life? Would she become part of that family? Would they be okay with that? Would her mother be like, fine with that? Or do you think she becomes a transformational force in that
Tinya.
Tinya.
Not a tin ninja.
No. Tinya. The film ends in a very open-ended way, with the whole scene of like the
Doppelganger now.
the doppelganger Ali
replaces the
saying for
daughter.
the first time "mother," and
To
the
the mother.
whole family freezing. Tinya is there lying on the ground dead. Because of that, how do you feel like the story would continue? Like each of you,
She just fills in her place.
she just fills in her place. No problems.
Well, I mean, the mother has to groom her, but I feel like that would be the mother. That would be her thing. She'd love that. She'd probably make a blog.
Okay.
What do you think?
Well, just imagine this. I mean, as fucking narcissistic and crazy as she is, now she has someone to do her bidding as far as like knocking off competition.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
Wow.
Like,
Shit.
yeah, that's. I think that's where that goes, because she's not much like Ray made a point earlier about how she can probably figure out a way to market this.
Yeah.
That's probably what she would do, or just use it to her benefit in some way. And I think that it would be done in a much more sinister way than just blogging,
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Ray, what do you think?
I'm torn. I don't know whether, both of yours make sense, but there's also a part of me that feels like because she's been working as Tinja's id the entire time and like doing the repressed feelings that she doesn't want to deal with, that I feel like it might actually backfire. Like, because if she tries to like, okay, I'm going to groom her to be my daughter and like, take the place of Tinja and become a gymnast, that like, the first thing that happens is she's like, okay, well, we're going to go to practice. And she's like, no, I'm not. We're going to go to practice. You're going to try and make me go to practice. And if you do, I'm going to break your fucking arm. Go for it, lady.
I don't think that's going to happen
Just
at all.
like,
but it's
just like full of anger, full of the anger and rage that Tinja could not express. And like possibly like looking at her father and being like, look at your mom. And looking at the father and saying like, like, you need to leave your mom, you simp. Like, move on.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm torn either way.
It's interesting.
So, wait a minute. Is Anthony saying that this girl's gonna transform into a bird and then kill whatever competition? Or
No,
No.
I think it's just that's her new daughter.
Yeah, I think she's. I guess I would say the term final form.
Yeah.
I think she's in her final form, and I think that's what would make it so easy to use her under the guise of her daughter to be able to carry out dastardly deeds, because no one would ever suspect the daughter.
Yeah. I mean,
There's only one more thing I wanted to touch on, and it's something we haven't hit yet, and it has to do with the care of the bird. And it comes down to something as simple as, well, how does a bird eat? So, towards the beginning of the film, the bird, much like a cat bringing a mouse to its owner, as an offering.
yeah, it's an offering of love.
Exactly. The bird brings a dog. And
Basically beheads a dog. I was wondering
Yes.
how the bird actually beheaded the dog.
it may have just bitten it off. Who knows? Because at that point, it still has the large beak with teeth.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
So-
did it eat the head?
Unknown.
Yeah, maybe.
Unknown. She wakens with the bird perched on top of her, mouth open. It just has this. There's people I know that are grossed out by drool or just saliva. This thing is just drooling on her face,
Yeah.
which wakes her up. She's just like, what? And the bird kind of nudges her, and she peeks over and sees the decapitated dog next to her, and this is when you realize that okay, this is how the bird showed its tribute.
Yeah, love.
So then, obviously, she's sickened by it. She kind of reels over her bed, retches, vomits all over the floor. The bird immediately hops off of her, hits the floor, and starts eating the vomit. And
this is a rough moment.
In this, stroke of genius, not only are you sickened by it, but you're also like, well, how else would a bird eat? Of course.
Hatching, yeah.
And it's the most disgusting, again, enlightening moment you see in the film at this point. And it does get better. But this happens several times to where the bird now, I almost thought the bird had like a taste for blood and wouldn't eat normal things. It wouldn't eat birdseed. It would only eat it if Tinya vomited it up. So there's a scene where she's just voraciously stuffing birdseed into her mouth.
Tinya,
yeah, to the point to where she can't take it anymore, vomits into her hand, and then just feeds it to the bird. And I think does this happen one more time? I think it happens one more time.
Yeah,
it's at Sarah's house.
Yeah, exactly. At the mother's boyfriend, lover, whatever. She's feeding.
Yeah, and the doppelganger's more humanoid at this point, and it's just this scene where the doors fly open, and she just has her face in a bowl of vomit. It is probably one of these couple scenes that I'm mentioning right now are probably the most extreme and disgusting scenes in the film. But goddamn, like I would feel I would be doing a disservice to those who are listening to not describe these beautiful bits of cinema that we witnessed earlier tonight.
Yeah, I agree. So Ray's one-word review was unnerving, as was yours.
Agreed.
I will go 2 words. The thing that it's just beautifully revolting. It was revolting, but in the best possible way. And I mean, the feeding. You know what it reminded me a little bit of? Peter Jackson's Bad Taste.
Yeah. That
scene where they're passing around the fucking, like they're all drinking the vomit or whatever the fuck it is. Oh my god. But it's not. That's a very dark. I mean, it's been so long since I've seen it, over 20 years easy. But it's somebody release it.
I don't even know why it didn't bother me in this film.
Actually, that's true because you have told me before you have a thing with like saliva and stuff.
I've had a thing with like goopiness in films and like, but for some reason this just didn't. I don't know why.
How did it make you feel? Kind of hot?
Yeah, the bird's dedefinitely fucking.
Give you a little
goopy.
wood there, Padre. That's John Carpenter's Vampire School.
Yeah, Sunny fans, just ladies, hit me up. Just come up to me.
We're starting the horror video.
Come up to me at any kind of event. If you see us like out at
what event? AMC or the brewery afterward?
AMC or the brewery. I don't know. Maybe you're a fan. Maybe you're waiting to see us at Beyond Fest or something. You see me in public and you just come up. You spit right in my mouth. You let me know. Don't
you give
the
$10 to me though.
Yeah,
you give the $10 to me, and then you can do it.
And you have to pay Anthony for that privilege, but you can spit in my mouth.
No, I will say, I agree, Anthony. I felt like the whole
there's so much horrifying in it, but for some reason it works, and for some reason it's not stomach churning.
No, because
grossness.
It's the thing. That's how society accepts all the terrible things.
It feels smart. It makes sense.
They're dressed in floral patterns and perfect glass vases and lights. Like what we do as a race, as a society, is we overlay these expensive, beautiful decals that hide all of the uglier, elements. I mean, it's exactly what we do. Even you build a house.
Well, I mean, and think about this. Think about this. The two sports that are mentioned in the film. The mother was an ice skater.
Yeah, and then
she's now a gymnast. And both of those sports more so than any other
Yeah.
sport on the planet that I know of, is so based on one, how like beautiful and symmetrical and everything appears as you're performing it, but it's also completely based on judging and like a person looking at it and going, very nice, crisp, or someone going like sloppy. I would not give that a 9. I would give that a 5. You know, and it's not based on anything other than taste. And like, it's interesting that like the two things that she like, the one thing the mother was into, and then the next thing she gets her daughter into, are both based on heavily on taste and preference more than anything else. So, little thought to think about.
Okay, I have
Smart
no idea if this
metaphors
is.
in the film.
I have no idea if this is related to the movie. I just decided to Google "lovely everyday life," which is the mother's vlog, and I got a Facebook hit. Because sometimes movies will buy the domain and make the actual. It doesn't look like it looks
Viral
like
marketing.
there's literally. There's actually blogs out there called Lovely
That totally
Everyday
makes
Life.
sense. That totally makes sense.
I would like to close by saying that so the actress that played Tina, Siri Solalina, she was not a gymnast.
Really?
So she apparently, according to this article, she actually trained for it, and they did use a gymnast for some of the more difficult things, but she learned that stuff. So that's pretty fucking impressive. That's she's a newcomer. They apparently they took like videos from I think it was 1,200 different girls and went with her. And
Holy shit!
I
Really?
think she did a really great job. I feel like
Could have
this is
fooled me.
aces across the board. I would definitely say, like, as my closing thought is just go see it. It's gross, but it's wonderful, and I think it's just going to be here. It's not going to be there next week. Like I
agree.
I hope it is, but I just doubt it. There was one other person in the theater while we were there. There were 5 of us, and there were 2 people that came in and left after like 20 minutes. I don't know if they were repulsed or whatever, but or if they were just theater hopping after a different movie. But whatever the case may be,
I
Walked
like
into
to
the
think that
wrong
they were-
fucking theater.
I like to think they were repulsed.
I'd like to think it too.
I love to be in a movie theater when that moment happens.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, a slight tangent before we end here, but like I famously tell the story of going to see with Jesus here. What is it called? The double feature film. I'm totally blanking on the name.
Grindhouse.
Grindhouse, and there's the second film, and we're sitting there watching it, and there's that first accident, and that first accident,
Planet Terror.
like it was not Planet Terror.
Death Proof.
Death Proof.
Yeah.
There's that first accident, and like where you see the car graphically go, and every girl, what happens to him in the accident. Like the one girl's face gets literally shredded by the tire. The other girl's like leg flies off and hits the cement, starts flopping around like a piece of jello. And Jesus and I are sitting there, and like all of a sudden, this older couple behind us just went like, I think that we actually heard the wife say, "That's enough," and just got up and left. And I was like, fucking brilliant. I was like, that's amazing. Like there's just something about a moment when a filmmaker has hit the apex of taste, and the person behind you is just like, I can't. I'm not here anymore. I'm done. Let's go. I'm done. And when it happens, oh shit, it's amazing.
I agree.
So good.
I agree. Closing thoughts, Anthony?
Just that no matter how disgusting the acts were in the film, they were done to nurture and were purely acts of love from a very very innocent person who is starting to see what's under the veneer. And just that it's that therein lies the probably the worst tragedy of the film for me, was that just to see how unloved she actually was by her own parents, and that she somehow managed to pull this out of her ass to continue to be able to care for this creature. And I think therein lies the tragedy. But yeah, much like Shawn said, this probably won't be here next week.
Yeah.
So if you want to see something gross, move your ass, because I don't think this is going to last very long.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, I usually drop these on like Monday or Tuesday, but I feel like I might try and drop it tomorrow just because it's sad. We're recording this Saturday night, and I don't know. Maybe it'll be there, maybe it won't. It won't, you know. Well, you know what? It might be there this week because next week all bets are off because Doctor Strange is going to open and it's gonna kick a bunch of shit. I mean, maybe Ambulance will still be there, but everything else, you know.
I hope the Batman's still playing.
Yeah, because it's not on HBO Max or anything. Oh, wait.
There's 3 hours of your life you won't get back.
Yeah.
But that's enough of that.
That's true. So, okay. Well, before there's a thunderstorm or a wind chime,
Tap dancing geriatric.
yeah, debacle. For the Horror Vision Horror Podcast, I am Shawn.
I'm just a fucking old vampire.
Named.
Goose.
And the guy laughing silently.
I'm Red Robin Ray.
There you go. And Jesus, are you gonna recommend? He's
Snoring Jesus.
We've done it.
Oh, lulled him into sleep.
We'll be back to fight another day.
Later, animals.
Oh, here, Ray. I heard you were hungry.